But all that you need is to have open, clear eyes. And then you'll see those who are going nowhere and those who are going somewhere. I already know, I don't need to go to a witch doctor to say that the majority of people who are wasting your time in your media spaces are going nowhere. It's really be serious. I don't need you to cheer me. I don't need you to agree with me. But whatever I intend to do, if I'm serious about it, I can achieve it with or without your support. And that's how serious people operate. I came to lead DP. I mean, it's a lot of opposition. Who would give me a chance to be president of DP? But I declared it and I said, I equally belong to this party and I will throw my hat in the ring. And I don't care how powerful the opposition is. This is what we have set. And together with fellow young people, we took charge of the party. And naturally, we have counter-revolutionaries. Because ours of 2010 was a revolution in DP. And it is being resisted, and it will continue being resisted. But like all revolutionaries, where you fail, God intervenes. And many times God has intervened and scattered. You know, they attack from one direction and scatter in 7 directions, like the Bible says. So, these things that you people are criticizing, no, but Mao cooperation agreement, he's now yellow, he's now what, will not stop us. It is a matter of time before you are going to apologize, because others are now beginning to apologize to me. When we stood here, holding a National Executive Committee meeting, and the group that is now having problems in NUP led a demonstration here supported by the Uganda police, ironically. Because the Uganda police was here, superintending over their protests. They stormed the NEC meeting, removed chairs from all the NEC members, poured water on us. I was the only one who remained seated on a chair. And what were they singing? Twagala Bobby Si Mao. That was the song. For 9 hours. But because we knew what we wanted and we were determined, we realized that they were mercenaries. We sent some of our people to come and listen to what they were saying, and others were saying, let them add us money, we are now hungry. The money they gave us is not enough. By the way, I like fighting a mercenary army because they are not fighting for a cause. They are fighting for the pay. So, after they got too hungry and left, of course we assisted them to leave because there must also be a red line in any political party. So they crossed the red line when they came to remove chairs. So we also called for support, and when they saw our team coming, they realized that now we were not going to talk. So they left. After they left, we suspended their ringleaders. And then they went to wear red berets, from where again they are complaining. So if the problem was really Mao, Mao is not there. So what is the problem? You journalists, help us. What is you see, if your problem is your tail, it's because you don't see it, it is behind you. So you are always saying other people's tails. So wherever you go, there will be tails, because you are carrying yours with you. So if indeed Mao was the problem, they now went where Mao was not there. But still they have problems. And wherever they go, they will always have problems. So, we have come here to assert that our historical mission is that we are Uganda's indispensable party, because we are not afraid to clash with anyone for what we believe in. We are the only party which clashed first with the kingdom of Buganda. Why? Because we simply said every Muganda should vote. And for them they said, no, the Lukiko will vote for them. And that is how they cut a deal with Obote. So we want to send a clear message that we are not afraid of combat when it comes to what we believe in. We are ready for combat. Be answering two questions, not only for our party, but for our country. We believe in the law of cause and effect. And for those of you who are serious, always think in terms of cause and effect. For every effect, there is a cause. The first question that we are going to answer out of the two is, how did we get where we are as Uganda and also as a party? Assuming you're walking and then all of a sudden you are wet, you must ask, when did the rain start beating me? It is only a sensible question, because rain is not automatic. Then number two, where do we go from here? Sometimes we blame others for where we are, and sometimes we blame others for being stuck where we are and not going anywhere from where we are, because most of the times we are our own enemy. I wish to assert 5 things that we are committed to doing. Later I will tell you how we got where we are. But first I must tell you our intentions. Every political formation in Uganda is looking for relevance. We welcome our Deputy Secretary General. You are welcome. In DP, we are proposing 5 things. First, we must realize that ideas are what make an organization. We will be elected not because of the organization per se, but rather what the organization stands for. Even if you remove all of us and separate us from DP, the fundamental question you have to ask is, what does DP stand for? To understand that, you must go back to our constitution. It is not by accident that we are named the Democratic Party. That means our party is about the people. All the people, not some of the people. The second thing that we propose to do is to clarify our historical fundamentals. I cannot talk for the parties that started yesterday, because we did not start yesterday. DP has historical fundamentals, and those are the reasons why we don't behave the way other parties behave. In other parties, there are knee-jerk suspensions, knee-jerk expulsions. That's not the party our founders bequeathed to us. Sometimes there appears to be chaos within the party, but we will never oppress anyone inside the Democratic Party. So our second objective going forward is to clarify our historical fundamentals. And I would like to thank the members of DP who have been active in the media. And I like to single out Mr. Kennedy Mutenyo, who has been clarifying these historical fundamentals. Just like the church, you hear cases of priests sexually abusing both girls and boys. You hear of corruption cases. But the church would not stand if it did not make clear to its members its historical fundamentals. Because those who drive organizations are human beings. And a solid organization must be able to overcome all the problems. This year we are 70 years old. And we are not 70 years by accident. We have learned more lessons than any other organization in Uganda. Nobody can lecture DP about being oppressed. We have been oppressed by the Ugandan state. Nobody can lecture DP about being in prison. There is no party that has had more members imprisoned than DP. You cannot lecture us about being killed, abducted, or even disappeared. You all know that up to now, our heroic leader Benedicto Kiwanuka does not have a grave. He was disappeared, murdered. Last year he would have made 100 years old if he had not been killed. Nobody can lecture us about being tortured. In the 80s, we had our members of parliament shot by the government. So, we can only be a credible party if we do not detach from our historical fundamentals. So our credibility must be beyond reproach based on our experience. On the three main issues that have defined our party. Number one, human rights. We have never failed to declare where we stand on the issue of human rights. Number two, good governance. And number three, private enterprise. DP is the party which resisted state ownership of enterprises because we believe that all human beings have a spark of ingenuity through which they can organize businesses. And as DP, we believe that the government should only be restricted to doing four things. Number one, to protect the borders of the country. Number two, to protect you from having your life or property threatened by any other person. Your personal security should be protected. Number three is to establish the laws, rules, and regulations of the society. And number four, to be in charge of adjudicating disputes where anybody feels that the rules have been violated. That's why we have the judiciary. Those are the four fundamental roles of the state. It's not the role of the state to interfere in your daily life. That's the role of community associations and local governments. Yes, we want regime change. But regime change, or what we call transition, is a means to an end. It is not an end in itself. That is why the fundamentals of change must be crafted, agreed upon, and articulated. I would like you journalists to do an experiment. Go to the streets and ask anyone, what do you understand by change? To you, what would change mean? Perhaps you'll get a better answer from all the speeches we the politicians can make. For some people, it's their children having equal access to the State House scholarship. For some people, it's a higher salary. For some people, it's a job. For some people, having their cases sorted out in the courts quickly. So, what are the areas that we want to change? The fundamentals. Next year, our constitution will be 30 years old. Naturally, just like a building, it is in need of renovation. There may be leakages, but in the case of Uganda, there are serious cracks on the foundation. Because the building blocks that bring together Uganda are not sitting at ease together. Nobody applied to become a Ugandan. Now that we are together, the rules that bring us together must work for all of us. So we must agree on renewing our constitution by doing some of the basics that we are always articulating, ensuring that the constitution provides for term limits, reviewing the electoral system, and as DP we will continue articulating the idea of changing the electoral system from what we now call first past the post to proportional representation. We will never get tired of telling Ugandans that proportional representation ensures that no vote is wasted, because the country will be divided into electoral areas and each party will submit a list of those who would go to parliament depending on the percentage of votes that they get. That's about democracy. Number two, the economy. Uganda used to be the country where the gap between the rich and the poor was very narrow, but that gap is now widening. To close that gap, we must build on our human capacity. We may boast about our minerals, the oil, but the greatest wealth of the nation is really the people. We must invest in the people so that they can take advantage of opportunities. We must fight corruption so that the money which is collected by the government serves the citizens. And how do you fight corruption? You fight corruption through personal example. By realizing that you are a steward, that you don't own the resources of the country, but you are a steward. For us in DP, our leaders are not paid salaries, elected leaders of the party. That is why, even as I talk, our accounts are in surplus because of the savings we make. We are able to invest and have property like this one and 2 other properties in the city of Kampala. Just the other day, I went to inspect 3 acres in Soroti City. Before that, I had gone to see another property in Pade. This is stewardship. Speaking as somebody who serves in the cabinet, I can tell you that money is actually not our problem. Government has a lot of money. Take it from me, because I know. It is only our sense of priorities which is wrong. And we need to change our priorities so that we support the fundamentals that will unleash the energies of our people. Our people need better roads. Our people need their land rights to be protected. Our people should not be subjected to unfair taxation. That's about the national economy. We need security for the person and for their property. But above all, we need national unity. As I talk now, Uganda is extremely divided. Why are we divided? Because the legitimacy of the government is under test. People must feel that, well, your party may not be in power, but you must be entitled to the bare minimum that all citizens are entitled to. So those are the fundamentals of change. The four: democracy, the national economy, peace and security, and national unity, which can only come as a result of a reconciliation process where we will speak the truth to each other, forgive each other, and also ask for forgiveness from those we have wronged. So that is number two, that our party will clarify our historical fundamentals after realizing that we must not lose sight of the ideas that form our party. Number three, it is time for us to reach beyond our traditional core. Every organization has got its credo. Islam started in the Middle East, but now Islam is in Indonesia, it is in India, it is in America, it is in Africa, it is everywhere. That was the credo. They have expanded because they have grown beyond their credo. Christianity started with Jesus and his 12 disciples, and it was basically around Jerusalem and Rome. UPC was formed out of a splinter group. One splinter group was a faction led by Milton Obote, a faction of Ignatius Musazi's Uganda National Congress, which united with another party called Uganda People's Union. That's what formed Uganda People's Congress. DP emerged out of a feeling of marginalization by Catholics who felt that the colonial government was denying them opportunity. And it was started here in Buganda by 8 founders who were all from Buganda. There are those who continue to want to keep DP in that credo. They go around saying, DP, this is just a party for Catholics and Baganda. Now we have Muslims, now we have Protestants, we have evangelicals, Seventh-day Adventists. The other day I went to visit Sheikh Mbogo in Mukono. He was one of the first Muslims to join DP. We have outgrown our credo, and we must continue to outgrow our credo. Even the NRM was largely at core 100% Bantu, mainly dominated by people from Ankole. Now, as a lawyer, I believe in evidence. If you want evidence, go and look at the list of the delegation that went for the peace talks in 1985 with the government of Tito Okello. Tito Okello's delegation had people from all parts of Uganda. The delegation of the NRM was 100% Bantu. There was nobody with the name O. As I talk now, they have outgrown their credo. So, DP must continue this process of reaching out beyond our traditional core constituencies and our historical base. We are not ashamed of our historical base, because the basis on which you are oppressed is also the basis on which you are organized. If women are organizing to resist oppression, you cannot criticize them by saying, how come you don't have men? But you are being oppressed as women. So the men can always come, but the core and the base must be those who feel the oppression. I thought that was common logic. Apologize for its beginnings. Instead, we own the beginnings and proudly say we have grown beyond our traditional base and the core constituency. DP used to be the party of the, the ordinary people, the real grassroots. But now, we have to articulate the interests of the middle class and those who are aspiring to get there. There was a time in DP when if somebody found you wearing a very nice suit, they would say, looks like you have been bought. If you packed a brand new Mercedes-Benz, people would think, because they thought, I think they felt guilty. That was a bit strange, because that's not really the spirit of the Catholic Church. Look at how our bishops and cardinals dress. Look at our cathedrals. So I found that to be really a contradiction in terms. So now we tell our young people to proudly aspire to also be symbols of prosperity and the well-to-do. If you look at the homes of our founders and our key leaders in the 60s, every DP's person's home had a driveway and a big compound. That's what DP was. Number 4, the nature of the electorate is changing. So we cannot continue talking to the electorate as it was. We must actually start talking to the electorate as it will be. Now we have the Gen Zs. The old messages will not work. These putting old, tired messages in the microwave and serving them. I see a lot of microwaving going on in the country. People bring tired leftovers and they put it in the microwave and try to serve it again, and that won't work. Ugandans are anxious about how the country will change. Ugandans are anxious about how President Museveni will hand over. There are those who say he is irrelevant in the conversation about the Uganda after him. For us, we say he is not irrelevant. He has to be part and parcel of that conversation. And that's why everybody now is talking like us. People are now using our terminology. Transition. Uganda needs peaceful change. We need dialogue. We need truth and reconciliation. So once again, we come here today to say the rejected stone shall become the cornerstone, which is really DP. We cannot talk as if we are addressing audiences of the 1960s, 80s, or even the 90s. We cannot even talk about addressing an audience as if we are repeating the same leftover messages of agende, agende. We must try something we have not tried before. Because the things that are being talked about by some of the so-called leaders are things that have been repeatedly a source of frustration and failure. Somebody said the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You cannot have chicken eggs and then you say they are going to hatch turkeys. It's not possible. So as DP, we deal with the reality the way it is. Uganda is not Denmark, Uganda is not Sweden, Uganda is not Netherlands, Uganda is not Britain. Uganda is Uganda. So you must first of all deal with it the way it is. Not the Uganda in your head. And having thought about all that, we have now become the leading party to promote the idea of constructive engagement. Whether we succeed or not, at least we are not stuck. Because I can see people who are truly stuck. Because we are doing something new and something exciting. And we are learning from many other countries, including neighboring countries, that you don't have to agree 100%. Even if you agree 40%, you can focus on the 40% and work on that. And then 5, every political party needs to aspire for power. I don't think anybody wants to take pride in always being in the minority or always being in the opposition. Being in opposition is good when you have a plan to defeat the incumbent party and replace it. There is no point in being mere commentators without transforming ourselves into the party of choice at elections. We made a difficult choice in 2022. But that choice had a logic. And this is the logic. I've written it down. Do we remain on the old beaten path of smug partisanship, or do we embark on a new course leading to the kind of politics in which the day-to-day problems of the people are met with fresh ideas? So, partisanship means you take pride in not having power. These days, you have people who spend the whole day exhibiting their pride in being in the opposition. Being in the opposition means you don't have the majority. And that's why in election there's no silver medal. I think it was intentional. So even if you call yourself leader of opposition, it's just a way of accommodation. But in reality, the one with the power basically has all the power. By the way, there's a facility called Flight Mode. Do you know it? I'm 57 years old and my children have told me about it. That, Daddy, if you don't want to be disturbed, you tap the button called flight mode. For your own in celebrating being in the opposition. To the extent that others even say, for you are not in the opposition, you know. Imagine those who have lost a match. And they say, no, you are not one of the losers. Don't be with us. But what if I'm coming to give you courage so that you play better next time? We believe that given the situation in the country, and given that our logic of abandoning smug partisanship, that phrase is very important. Smugness means you are comfortable. So by abandoning smug partisanship and doing something totally new, we are in a position to reverse our party's fortunes. What are our strengths? We are known as the party of ideas. You can see, because we have somehow now decided to detach ourselves from those we call the Malebes. They are not benefiting from our usual creativity. Nobody beats DP in the arena of public policy. All those proposals you see in Parliament, including the ones that I am considering as a minister, are largely from DP. So to ensure that our leadership as the party of ideas continues to grow, we have decided to launch a think tank to initiate, debate, and prepare the policy positions of the party. In addition, our Leadership Academy of the Uganda Young Democrats is going to intensify its training programs for the up and coming leaders. The next leader of DP will be someone from the generation born in the 80s and 90s. I have led this party for a long time now, 15 years. This is longer than I've ever been in any position. By next year, I will have led the party for 15 years. As we head to the next delegates conference, I will still seek another mandate to lead the party, and together with the team that will be elected, continue preparing our young people. Why do we need young people? Because we of the current generation, we are custodians of the traditional DP values. But the young generation are the custodians of the modern means of doing politics. Myself and the Kennedy Mutenyus, we may not compete with the young people in terms of the modern means, but the young people cannot compete with us in terms of being knowledgeable and being custodians of the traditional values of the party. Why? Because the old ways of doing politics are becoming increasingly irrelevant. The voters are more educated, they are more independent, and by the way, I have news for you. Ugandans are not as partisan as you may think. Ugandans belong to parties, but that does not necessarily they are too partisan when they hear that there is a good idea coming from another party. The composition of voters is changing. There's a demographic shift. Most of the voters are now young. Now we hear of Generation Z. What is the defining characteristic of the Generation Z or Z? One, they are more skeptical. Two, they have a different attitude towards government. The Generation Z are very suspicious of government, naturally. So it doesn't matter who you are. Even if you win power, you will still face that Generation Z. And yet, it is these new voters who hold the key to power. Why do we need to understand the Generation Z even more importantly? As a matter of fact, they don't want an intermediary. That's why they don't even want to join parties. The people who are toppling governments don't belong to any political party. They want to participate directly. That's why we are saying they are not disorganized, they are actually unorganized. So, what will we do as DP is to talk to them directly in the language they understand. To make politics exciting to the Generation Z. In terms of organizational renewal, the Office of the National Organizing Secretary is now completing the compilation of the membership register. So I repeat my call to those who call themselves DPs but are not on the register. Please know that the party has a constitution, and the provisions of the constitution are not suggestions, they are mandatory. So, register, because it is out of the membership that we shall get the delegates. So if you really want to influence the direction of the party, first make sure you are a member, not just a supporter. Party membership is not hereditary. There are those who go around saying, my grandfather was DP, my father was DP, therefore I am DP. That mathematics is contrary to the constitution of the party. Step forward. Even if your father was a Muslim, and at one time my father was a Muslim, by the way, that did not make me a Muslim. You're asking what happened? I made up my own mind. So, we must appeal to the multitudes in Uganda, speaking about our ideas and values, but also our political strategy. Why did I say that we must understand Uganda as it is? In this country, government has been changed violently by the army. Our economy is still weak. The country is divided. The promise of democracy in the 1995 Constitution has been betrayed. Because Ugandans expected that in 2016, in 2001, going to 2005, 10 years after the constitution was promulgated, President Museveni would not be on the ballot. That was the expectation. So when I say the promise was betrayed, that's exactly what I mean, because I was in that parliament and I voted against the removal of the term limits, which now we believe will be restored. Our challenge now is to inspire Ugandans to grapple with the challenges. But first we must tell Ugandans what the real challenges are. Some people think the real challenge of Uganda is that DP has a cooperation agreement with the NRM. Has it stopped those who want to bring down the government? Surely, the 11 pages of the cooperation agreement cannot be the biggest problem. Because these problems that the so-called opposition is facing have been there before the cooperation agreement. So it defies logic. Then there are those who have the courage to call me and say, you betrayed us. And I tell them, you have never believed in me. So you can only betray somebody who you have believed in. But because now it is convenient, I don't have to talk a lot. Many people are talking to the National Resistance Movement. I can say everybody in the opposition is talking to the NRM. But because of what is called obufere and dishonesty, they cannot stand up the way Norbert Mao and the DP can stand up and say, here is what we have managed to put down, and this is what we have agreed upon. Then others make it such a big deal. How come you have not brought the transition? But why are you not supporting? You are first of all criticizing the cooperation. Then you are saying you want it to work. You can't have your cake and eat it at the same time. So we are indeed in very interesting times. I have seen documents by groups like the Holy Alliance. The Holy Alliance even went beyond the DP cooperation agreement. They want to give President Museveni a full term without elections. Bring me that piece of paper. You know, I think you journalists are really not assisting us. I have to repeat my complaint. You are covering people saying nonsense instead of going to the depth of really questioning leaders about how serious they are. Because even if I'm doing something you don't agree with, at least you should know we are very serious. And I've come to this press conference simply to say, Norbert Mao is very serious and DP is very serious. And you don't need to like what we intend to do, because we are very serious about it. So, there is this is what is here. I don't know whether you journalists have seen this document. And you are not interested in telling Ugandans what is going on. Instead, you get a 30-second speech and you make it your center of your news. You are really not helping us. So, for them, their posts, their desires stop at vice president. And they are saying the current president should be given, I don't know, a free kick. To lead without elections. So when I read this document, I've been waiting for you journalists to say something about it. There's not even an opinion piece. There's not even... So, you the journalists are the ones who are guilty of driving personality politics instead of idea-driven and organizationally driven politics. What are the ideas being promoted by... You are turning our politics into a beauty contest. So, it is actually everybody in the opposition, because it says other change-seeking forces. But the core is the Conservative Party, which has a life president. It has a DP bloc, which doesn't exist anymore. Because I was the leader of DP bloc. And now how can you have a DP bloc without a DP? It's like having African Union without African countries. Would you imagine the Europeans forming African Union? This is exactly what is being done. Yeah, this one of Maize Cobb. Yes, of my OB. Then there is Gemma. So, I repeat my lamentation. Let's really be serious. I don't need you to cheer me. I don't need you to agree with me. But whatever I intend to do, if I'm serious about it, I can achieve it with or without your support. And that's how serious people operate. I came to lead DP. I mean, it's a lot of opposition. Who would give me a chance to be president of DP? But I declared it and I said, I equally belong to this party and I will throw my hat in the ring. And I don't care how powerful the opposition is. This is what we have set. And together with fellow young people, we took charge of the party. And naturally, we have counter-revolutionaries. Because ours of 2010 was a revolution in DP. And it is being resisted, and it will continue being resisted. But like all revolutionaries, where you fail, God intervenes. And many times God has intervened and scattered. You know, they attack from one direction and scatter in 7 directions, like the Bible says. So, these things that you people are criticizing, no, but Mao cooperation agreement, he's now yellow, he's now what, will not stop us. It is a matter of time before you are going to apologize, because others are now beginning to apologize to me. When we stood here, holding a National Executive Committee meeting, and the group that is now having problems in NUP led a demonstration here supported by the Uganda police, ironically. Because the Uganda police was here, superintending over their protests. They stormed the NEC meeting, removed chairs from all the NEC members, poured water on us. I was the only one who remained seated on a chair. And what were they singing? Twagala Bobby Si Mao. That was the song. For 9 hours. But because we knew what we wanted and we were determined, we realized that they were mercenaries. We sent some of our people to come and listen to what they were saying, and others were saying, let them add us money, we are now hungry. The money they gave us is not enough. By the way, I like fighting a mercenary army because they are not fighting for a cause. They are fighting for the pay. So, after they got too hungry and left, of course we assisted them to leave because there must also be a red line in any political party. So they crossed the red line when they came to remove chairs. So we also called for support. And when they saw our team coming, they realized that now we were not going to talk. So they left. After they left, we suspended their ringleaders. And then they went to wear red berets, from where again they are complaining. So if the problem was really Mao, Mao is not there. So what is the problem? You journalists, help us. What is you see, if your problem is your tail, it's because you don't see it, it is behind you. So you are always saying other people's tails. So wherever you go, there will be tails, because you are carrying yours with you. So if indeed Mao was the problem, they now went where Mao was not there. But still they have problems. And wherever they go, they will always have problems. So, we have come here to assert that our historical mission is that we are Uganda's indispensable party, because we are not afraid to clash with anyone for what we believe in. We are the only party which clashed first with the kingdom of Buganda. Why? Because we simply said every Muganda should vote. And for them they said, no, the Lukiko will vote for them. And that is how they cut a deal with Obote. So, we want to send a clear message that we are not afraid of combat when it comes to what we believe in. We are ready for combat. So, Uganda needs a mind shift before the next elections to deal with the systemic problems of Uganda. We are not just dealing with a man. We are dealing with a machine and the mindset he has created. We call them the 3 M's. The man, the machine, and the mindset. The man is President Museveni. The machine is the system that has been built. And the mindset is the infected mind of Ugandans, who somehow think that the NRM and the other political parties are disjoint sets. They are not. When we signed the cooperation agreement, I revealed that Kano Besigye had been talking to President Museveni. He denied vehemently on TV until he was put to shame by those who were there in the talks. So talking to President Museveni is not something evil as is being preached. Because I'm told there's now infection of the young people's mind. Oh, you are Kolagana ne Museveni. So, okay, so what is your option now? I think I would respect more somebody who announces that he has picked up arms and he has gone to the bush wherever the address will be and is determined to come and remove the government. I think I would respect such a person. I would not respect you at all if, with the support of donors, you are talking to President Museveni, and when you are called out, then you start denying it. Let us be very, very honest. Finally, we are who we are because we have contributed to nation building in Uganda. And that we are probably the only party that has the bigger picture. We are always demonized by myopic political self-seekers, but usually we are proved right. These days, Ken Mutenyo is serializing Archbishop Joseph Kiwanuka's pastoral letter, where liars were telling people here in Buganda that if Benedicto Kiwanuka is elected, he's going to abolish the kingdom. So Obote is a better option. That was like taking a ride from a crocodile. Okay, a crocodile can swim better, but a crocodile is not your friend. He's just carrying his meal. Upon reaching the shore, the crocodile ate in 1966. But whoever told them that this is a crocodile was demonized. DP members would sit in a taxi and then somebody holds their nose and say, there's a stench in this taxi. What is wrong? They say, oh, there is a DP. That is the environment we endured. But we had the last laugh. When a man who used to be carried as a king and driven in posh cars had to walk on foot, running for his life. Why? Because the Baganda say, akana afate kawulira ng'ombe. So Ugandans, listen to the ng'ombe of DP. An election is not going to bring change. Change is going to be negotiated. And to negotiate, you need a seat at the table. And to get a seat at the table, you must have an agenda. Because talks are not about beauty. It is about your capacity. So, DP, internally, we have wasted a lot of time bickering over irrelevancies, to the extent of some of our leaders even forging the cooperation agreement and sending a forged copy. So, we warn against the formation of myopic special purpose vehicles. Just like the vested interest in Mengo formed a special purpose vehicle and called it a political party, Kabaka Yeka. They coalesced with a complicit colonial power and resolved that in the 1962 election, the people of Buganda would have their MPs elected by the Lukiko. The KY MPs then formed a coalition with UPC of Obote, and they formed a government. That's what is commonly called the marriage of convenience. This locked Benedicto Kiwanuka out of parliament and kept DP out of power. That marriage of convenience soon collapsed in a heap for reasons that are well known. DP sounded the ng'ombe. Fast forward, as the NRA stormed Kampala with their guns blazing, DP, with the broadest social base, joined the NRM government in 1986. Now, our problem, according to my diagnosis, is a misguided and narrow definition of what an opposition is. Why do you want to make yourself irrelevant in what is happening now, while telling people that you wait until we have removed President Museveni, but while you are earning a fat salary, you are driving a nice car, and you even orchestrate demonstrations. You mobilize young people, take them to the streets, and then you orchestrate an arrest. You are taken to the police, you sit on a sofa while the young people are put in police cells, and then you enter your air-conditioned car and go home, and you get hold of a remote control, and then you start asking the people at home, Babiraze ku TV, have they shown our thing? Have they shown my struggle? Has my struggle been shown? While you are sipping a cold glass of passion fruit juice. And then you post on social media, free our people. Now, unfortunately, it is our role again as DP to say these things, because nobody else is going to say it. When the NRM took over, what we called opposition was UPC and its fiery Assistant Secretary, Cecilia Ogwal. Its base was Uganda House, and the institutional framework it leaned on was the Presidential Policy Commission, appointed by Obote, who was in exile. Geographically, I'm now telling you politically what opposition was. It was UPC, and Cecilia Ogwal was the face of the opposition. Geographically, the opposition was the North, and ethnically, Nilotic. Government was geographically Southern and ethnically Bantu. These are verifiable facts. After 10 years of a stalled democratization process, DP leaders, led by Dr. Semogerere, walked out of government and announced that he would run for president in 1996. Ever the big tent, big picture party, DP chose its old rival as its partner, UPC. They formed the Interpolitical Forces Coalition. The old enemies, in quotes, became partners. Semogerere and Cecilia Ogwal traversed the country together. The same UPC that in 1980 had said that if you vote DP in our place there in the north, DP will force you to carry bricks and stones to come and rebuild the Lubiri, which was destroyed under the UPC government. They now had to go and undo it because they knew it was a lie. But those days, to make DP lose in Acholi, in Lango, and West Nile, they simply said, you dare vote DP. Can you imagine carrying bricks for 300 miles? You are going to carry it. And somebody imagines carrying bricks on his head, says, no way, I'll take UPC. Now, that's the kind of politics of propaganda. What they say here is okusigo obuchai. At the same time, even DP had to go to Luwero with Cecilia Ogwal and now say, okay, these are good people now. That is what focus means. Semogerere was demonized and turned into a leper here in Buganda. He was presented as a Trojan horse working for the return of Obote into power and as a front for the resurgence of the defeated and murderous Nilotics from the north. Semogerere swept the polls in Teso, West Nile, Acholi, and Lango. The rest of the country shunned him. The Bantu Nilotic divide was clear in 1996. Now, these are the actual challenges of the political class. And we cannot deal with these challenges unless we are seen together. Again in 2001, against the wishes of some of us, DP and Semogerere rallied around Kizza Besigye, who challenged Museveni on a platform of reform. It was not foreseen that Besigye would form a political party. I don't need to repeat everything that we have gone through. But all that you need is to have open, clear eyes. And then you'll see those who are going nowhere and those who are going somewhere. I already know, I don't need to go to a witch doctor to say that the majority of people who are wasting your time in your media spaces are going nowhere.